Welcome back to part 2, because part 1, we just can't stop when we're together.
True.
We just literally can't stop.
It really does come from a part. There's so much more history to why we have the things we have, isn't there?
What is yours?
I think mine is probably a tie between things that I used to have, and like you said, I probably have deeper levels to go.
Mm-hmm.
One is about being like weak and incapable. They're sort of like tied intrinsically somehow, because I was just a really quiet, shy kid. And so I remember my sort of like painful memories would be like being at the parties and sitting by myself. I was just an introvert, and I had a really high IQ, which I know people who have insecurities about not being smart enough are like, if I was just smart, but I almost had like the opposite problem, because I was just like a quiet, nerdy kid who got, always praised at school, but I was like never cool to be like naughty, or like never loud enough to be in the popular gang.
You're so that girl, Little do they know.
Do you know what I mean? So I remember having those, sitting in the corner and eating my sandwich on my own, and like not having friends, and just being really quiet and really shy. So there's a little bit of me that's like, that has a weakness thing. And I know it's like a female lineage thing in my family too. That I just carry. And what's been really healing for me actually is hearing my mom talk to me about her insecurities now, and there's so many of mine that I didn't see as a kid. And hearing me talk to her about helping her reframe hers. And I'm like, I should be able to do this for myself, because all the things I tell her are things that I should know. And it's so easy for me to say, that's just the way you are, and it's a gift, and it's beautiful, and I know you don't feel like it's a strength and but hearing those and trying to internalize has been really healing for me too. And I know that my grandma had them as well. So this like, I can't do it on my own. I'm weak, I'm incapable, and also like I'm gonna be left out, and I'm gonna be, I'm like the shy one, and that's like it's not I'm gonna be left out, it's like I'm a shy one, and that's somehow like of a detriment to me, because my sister's an actress, and she's the one who like, she
You're
was
different
like
from your sister.
We're completely different. And she has insecurities about not being like I was, and I have insecurities about not being like, I guess, with all siblings, right? Like in her mind, she was dumb because she didn't have a freakishly high IQ. And I was left out and weak and silly because I couldn't sing and dance and put my shoulder out when I was 3 years old, and all the things that it's just what we do when we're kids. We just compare to
I
other
actually
people.
just had such a vivid realization. I don't think it was about being poor. I always felt like it was, and it's so weird how it just kind of came so clear for me. I was embarrassed that I had like no like family dynamic. Like it was like my parents, like I felt like they didn't care growing up, and like I was so embarrassed by that. Like it was like I had no grounding, like I don't know. Like I don't think it was
Embarrassed meaning
about
that people saw you didn't have a family dynamic?
Yeah, I think it was just like you could feel like there were no roots, Like it was like, I mean, there were girls who like wrote a book about me.
When?
Growing up in school, that
They
like,
wrote a book
how
about
poor I was, and that like my house looked like a garbage can, and just like, but it wasn't even, it was just about feeling like, when you like come home, I felt like I never came home to anything. Like it was like my parents weren't there. My sisters were God knows where. And there was nothing, there was no foundation.
When you came home, what did you come home to?
Oh, my chaos, like empty house, maybe a sister here or her boyfriend there. And then I would just like leave. But there were just,
There's no stability.
It's a thing I'm very big on now, is just having like a strong family foundation.
When I met you 15 years ago, and there was none of this, and you were just doing, what were you doing then? What were you doing? When you came to Kabbalah 1, I remember even the room I sat in.
I remember our one-on-one.
Yeah.
Like, I literally remember, you were there, I was here. I was working as a health coach.
Yes, that's right. You were just starting, right? Nutrition
I was
coaching.
like seeing, and very similar to you, I started seeing people for free, like fit clients that I was working for. Can I just say that this has gone in directions and ways.
Oh, I have 1,000 more things to talk about.
Beyond, no, we're not done yet. But just like
this could be cut up in like 7 episodes.
This is what I am obsessed about when we are together. Like it's just like.
Yeah. And for every one thing I asked, there's like 4 more things I want to ask.
I know, same.
All right, so
I've lost 10 of them.
And people are thinking right now, guys, finish what you're starting.
Yeah,
so
because
I'm going back to the nutrition. I saw you, and I'm just telling you now, who you are today. Like it's not like I looked at you and I'm like, oh, there's this beast inside, ready to be uncaged. I didn't see any of it. What happened? Well, this is not anything. This is, I'm telling you.
No, but isn't that so powerful?
This is nothing.
To everyone who sees, who doesn't see that they have the potential to be great.
That's the point.
Like, please know that none of us saw it either. Please know that.
I'm telling you, I mean, I'm sure Noah saw. Noah's not going to just be with like, someone who's like,
oh no, he did
vessel.
Not see this.
He did not see this?
He had no idea when he said I do what he was getting. Really? He didn't see it. It's okay. And I'm okay with that because I didn't have it.
I'm telling you, the audience needs to know 15 years ago, whenever it was, nothing of what you see today existed then. This is literally like you drew down a new soul. And if maybe it's something that the audience needs to hear, like whoever you are today, in a second, you can draw down. Actually, that is a spiritual concept that a person can draw down a higher part of their soul and literally overnight wake up with a new desire, new life, new destiny, new everything can happen in a second. Because that's the truth. I'm like listening to you, I'm like, this energy is not anything. And when I first saw you again, like, it was 2 years ago, I walked into this office. It was like you have hurricane energy. And I'm like, where did this come from? It's a hurricane when you're around Melissa. I don't know. I'm sure she holds it back like for the general public because I see people walk up to you, they become very sweet. But then it's like...
No, people have no idea who I am.
No, I'm telling the audience, you have no idea the hurricane that exists. But it is a spiritual thing because I think you must have drawn down different kind of souls, different something. And anyone can achieve that.
Anyone. Yeah. Literally anyone.
I think that's why you don't have to know what you want to do with your life. You don't have to know what your purpose is. You don't have to know any of those things because like you said, in the becoming, all of that stuff gets given to you. But you can't get the answers before you become the thing, before you work on your vessel.
Yeah.
That's what brings the answers in.
People want to know the answers before they make the first step. And
to really just like go back to what you said, because when I say to people, no, like you don't understand. When I share things, like I shared a group text with a friend the other day and she was like, oh my God, like I need to meditate or I'm going to murder someone. And I was like, well, this is why I meditate every day, because if I didn't, I would be behind bars. And I'm not being funny. I'm not kidding. I actually think that I had the capability of going to a place that was so dark because I was so addicted to that drama. I brought drama. If there wasn't drama, I would bring the drama. And through my own just unfulfillment and having Noah say things like that to me, right? Like having someone you see who's built something beyond, like I still don't comprehend how he manages what he manages every day. But to be able to witness someone doing that, right? Who also self-made, came from, he built it from the ground up. It's like, it truly is like, it's like it starts with like a moment to moment. And then like an hour by hour approach, and then a day by day. And the steps are slowly being built. Like this is truly a combination of me hating myself to a point of literally thinking that I would just be better if I left this world fully. To really feeling like I was so empty. I hated myself. I was so disgusted in the way that I was living and things I was hiding from people. I was so grossed out from myself. To be able to actually see that and then to see like a version that I just knew was in there. And it is like, it's your younger self, whatever you connect to. And seeing a picture of yourself when you're 3 and you're 5, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like my mom, talking about group chats, my mom sent a picture of herself yesterday when she was 7 years old in school. It was like a class picture and she was so thin and so frail. And she was like, see if you can find me. And it was like this cute like message. And then she was like, that girl was starved to death. And I was just like, oh my God, like, you just don't know, you know, like I've been so hard on my mom my whole life, but I'm like, oh my God, to be able to recognize ourselves as children, because although we grow up like that, we're still the essence of that little person, like that little girl. It completely like, it just rocked me. And in that moment of like my lowest of lows, I was able to connect to like a piece of me as like an innocent little girl, and just feeling the pain of that, like the real pain, and knowing 2 things. And I think if you know these 2 things, the realm of possibilities for you is beyond any limitations that you've set for yourself. It was knowing that I needed help. Truly, I needed help. I'm the girl who thinks I can do everything. I've always felt like that, because that's the energy. Like I would go home, the dishes needed to be done. We needed to have dinner. My sister's homework needed to be, she had a field trip. How was I going to get the money for that? Started working.
So that's
like
the mic.
That's the mic. Like me literally feeling like I've got it. And if I don't, I've got to find it in there. So like this strength that I've needed to soften. I still recognize the softening that I need to do, that I want to do. And then, so asking for help, and then just knowing there's another way. And that was like the first real connection to God, to what it is, to source. I was so far away from feeling that, like it felt too big. Like that felt so not real. I was like, what? But there was such an energy there with me where I was like, I have no other choice. I've got to lean in. Because if not, I'm going down a dark, dark path.
This was how long ago?
This was almost 20 years ago. And then it's like this, I think you can change your consciousness overnight. I do. But I will never say that this, like even when people are like, oh, wow, you blew up. I didn't. I never, sure. Like you saw something kind of become more visible, but the work, and that is why I'm so passionate about a practice. And like how do I have certainty, and how do I dip out of certainty? Because I don't always feel certain. I'll own that. And when I do, oh my God, I'm actually living a little bit in uncertainty right now. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like I'm getting myself there. I'm doing the things, but I'm still feeling uncertain. I am. And I'm like, you know, the challenge is what an opportunity. But I'm like, deep in my core, there's this doubt. And in those places is when I think you have to be so honest with yourself, with how you are living your life and what you are doing. What are you absorbing? And I know when I am using social media to the point where I'm absorbing it, it's when I feel the most uncertain. And I love social media. But when I get into this tunnel of being so caught up and what's going on, other people's energy, I get so warped and so sucked. That's why like meditating and moving, it helps me move through this stuff. But having really strong limitations and boundaries with the energy that I'm giving and the energy that I'm allowing in is so detrimental to this next pivotal moment that I feel I'm on the cusp of.
Wow. When you say not feeling certainty, because actually people ask about certainty a lot.
I know.
When you say you
That
don't
was
feel
the
certain.
biggest question.
Yeah.
Was practical, spiritual tools,
Yeah.
but certainty. How to feel certain.
What do you say about that? Because people ask me all the time, I think from you being on my podcast so much, people are like, what do you mean by like, how do I feel certainty? How do I get to certainty? Like in moments where you don't feel certain, what are you not certain of? Like,
Right. Well, I would say, well, first thing is, I see what my body feels like and what my life looks like when I don't have certainty, meaning it's an anxiousness, it's a neediness. So let's understand what it feels like first. You're anxious, your body, I get muscle spasms, I get low in energy, I don't want to do anything, I start doing things from fear, I get needy, and I start making poor decisions. I eat poorly. My body goes into instant gratification mode, and I lose inspiration. I don't get creative ideas. Nothing happens. So I'm so keen on what that feels like, and I hate that feeling so much.
I hate it.
And that's why when Melissa said, like, we should hit that feeling of like, I cannot live like that anymore. When you become so clear about what doubt feels like, because I don't think people even know that it's doubt. People are like, well, this is life. Like, people don't, I think a lot of people don't even know what certainty feels like until they experience it. And then they're like, oh my God, like this is the euphoric feeling that we should be feeling all the time. And we have the choice to feel that way. So first I start there and I'm like, what is it? This is a horrible feeling. I never want to feel like this. And then there's two things. One is I keep trying things because I've learned that experimenting things, trying things, testing things, in relationships, it's like, okay, you date and you get to know and you learn. And, I've been married. I try things with the kids. I go here, I go there. I spend one-on-one time. I spend group time. I'm always asking myself, like kind of what Melissa said, what did that feel like? And you slowly realize what is true to you. And then you repeat it over and over again. And then it becomes part of your soul. That's certainty. And it's the consistency of things and it's the testing of things that I've seen as practically. In addition to, of course, praying for it. Like you have to pray for certainty. You have to want certainty more than you want anything else. People want relationships and people want like money and people want all these things. No amount of money gives certainty. I know
100%.
I've been broke, like broker than broke for 90% of my life. I only started to have money 3 years ago, and it was a one-day difference, right? It was one day broke, and then one day, okay, there's money. And I tell you, I had more doubts, more anxiety. I mean, that month was just total depression. After like the sale of our company and like, okay, you really don't have to think about anything ever again. I had more anxiety, nothing changed.
yeah.
And then you have more things to worry about. You have more And actually, I think I'm probably the worry about money comes in more today than it did when you have no money.
Yeah.
It's like nowhere else to go. And then you have a consistent way you spend. You don't enjoy anything really much. And so it's like, okay, it's like you can enjoy that. But then when you have more, then more doubts come. So I've learned nothing external increases your certainty. If you're in a relationship and all of a sudden like you have more certainty about you and about life, know that that's going to be deflated soon, because as soon as you lean on someone for certainty, that person gets taken away too. And so for me, it's experimenting. It's testing things that's true to me. What does that make me feel? It's exactly what Melissa said. And then repeating it over and over and being consistent with it. And then seeing how you can do it better and better. So it's really like a methodical approach. And I've learned, this is why it's important, because when you get some intuition, you don't know where it's coming from. Is it coming from the dark side? Is it coming from the light side?
That's a big question.
It's a question everybody asks. So I said, well, we got to test it. So I will do things and then I'm like, oh, that was the dark side.
Like what, David?
Good. Yeah.
Like what?
It's good though. Yeah.
You've never explained it in this way. I think how you just explained, like how to become more certain is, to me, right?
So helpful.
It was so helpful and just so simplified to, I just,
I've
because
never
sometimes
explained it this
people,
way.
you've never explained it this way.
Because actually hearing the two of you open that, because I heard the way you said the methodical process in which you built everything reminded me of that's actually what it's very Capricorn thing. Like I have like most planets in my chart is Capricorn, even though I'm air and water, all these things. It's a very I have a very methodical approach to everything I do. And I was listening to you, I'm like, wait, this is actually, certainty is a methodology. It's a consistency and it's moving forward. So it's momentum plus methodology equals certainty in my opinion. And like I'm coming here, you're showing me this beautiful community app's like the most beautiful thing in the world. And then your group's like, yeah, well, this took a year and a half and I had to go to school and this one had to go this. And I'm like thinking, no one will have a clue the 10 hours a day, 2 years it went through that now they have this little thing that they can just talk to each other on.
Yeah.
And so nobody sees the methodology that goes through things. And I've learned in business, I can do it. It's actually very easy for me because I can push the team every day to like build and build and build and build and build because I don't stop. I suffocate this process until the finish line comes. And then I'm like, okay, everybody can take a break. Because what happens is as you get to the 10-yard line, the 5-yard line, the 2-yard line, those last 2 yards are more, there's more negativity than in the first 98 yards you went.
Wow.
And so I've learned that the 10-yard line, you actually need to intensify everything because the negative forces are going to come very hard right before. And
I think that's what I'm feeling right now.
What do you feel?
the negative,
I felt when you said it, I'm like, okay, I know what that feels like. Objectively, what happens is you're about to approach this new level, you feel anxious. And that anxiety is actually all the surrounding light that's about to enter. It's kind of like right before birth. Like that's the pain. That's the birth canal. It's like the dilation that's happening is excruciating. And so this is the feeling that you're feeling and we're all feeling.
The alchemy.
Completely. Yes. And the word cautious just came up for me very clear because when I'm in that place is when I get in destructive mode.
Which place?
In feeling just, what did you just say? It was so beautiful.
That anxiety you're saying, that nervousness, that addiction, that neediness.
Where you're like,
doubt.
Like when that
darkest part where the last 2 yards.
Exactly. Like I'm at that point because I'm approaching doing something so different that I've never done before. And I've been called and all the things. And then I felt this, and listen, I'm just going to say it because a woman's cycle and her hormones have a lot to do when you're in your uncertain times, ladies. Like, can we just own this? Because holy shit. I was just like, I have a solo. It's actually coming out. And I'm just like, the certainty is so certain. And then you're going to hear this and be like, is something inconsistent with her?
Well, I can explain the spiritual part of the cycle right after this.
Okay, let's
honestly,
about why it happens.
Please do, because I question everything and I'm like, I am 42 years old. How the hell does my cycle have such a chokehold on me
I know.
still? And like the emotions and the third slice of pizza when like, it's just like all of the things.
Yeah.
Well, no, I get into destructive mode where I'm just like, oh, who cares? Like, no. And then who cares? Doom scrolling. And then I'm like empty. And I'm like, this isn't me. This is, apparently it is a version of me, but I don't love connecting to this place. And then being able to get myself, recognize, be real, be honest. And then it's like, you begin again. And let's go to work.
Yeah. I remember when I was 25, one of the first Kabbalistic New Year, the Rosh Hashanah services that I went to. And it was whilst Rav Berg was still alive. And I went to my teacher, Ruth, and I said, what do I want to do for this year? Like, what do I want to manifest, whatever? And she gave me a piece of advice that he had given at some point, which was like, actually just choose on one thing to work on for the entire year.
Just one thing to work on.
One thing to work on, because that will get you further than trying to work on like all the things that you got to work on, whatever. And so I said, what do I work on? And she said, you need to work on certainty. You should work on your certainty. So I just want to add that in because if people feel like that's something that they're really wanting, then actually, instead of overwhelming ourselves with like all the spiritual work,
Yeah.
sometimes just like one thing can like really reap so much better
100%.
rewards if you like choose one thing and like really, really try and like
And that one thing is
chip
more
away at
powerful
it.
than anything else. It's one more powerful than anything else.
Absolutely love that. Like,
Yeah.
I think that is because I get myself into, I'm there right now where I'm like, okay, I'm doing that thing, but what about this thing and what about that thing? I can do them both. They can parallel path. I can handle it. And I'm just like, I just get into this. I'm such a workhorse where I'm like, well, maybe you're just not meant to do all of them. Like, you're just meant to do this thing.
The power of doing just one thing, because as you create momentum, then you attract people who want that energy, and then they start to offer you things. And it's very shiny, and it's things you've wanted in the past. And then you feel like you don't want to miss the opportunity. And I've noticed as you're getting very close to greater success, that all these projects come, all these opportunities come, and all these things that look very positive. Actually, in fact, they're all positive. But it's the negative side's way of dividing and conquering our attention and our consciousness and our energy. And learning to say no to things, because, and I know it's happening to you, like the things that are coming to me, like, can you do this? Can you do that? Like the offerings, this and offering that. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. In fact, if I don't take it, I'm not being appreciative of what the universe is giving me. It's very, the negative side does a good job of really manipulating us. And then I said to myself, you know what? I said that for 3 months, I'm just going to say no. Wow. Even if God himself came down the mountain and said, listen, David, you need to do this. I would tell God, there's no end to my ADD if I say yes to this. I'm going to finish this thing I said I'm going to start. And when I'm done, God, I'll go back up the mountain. You don't have to come down. I'll go back up and I'll have a discussion with you about this project that we need to do.
Ooh, that is so
Because when you finish something, then you're with the light is a complete force. So you only with the light when you complete something. Everything in the middle is just, it's the effect. It's not the cause anymore. So I think that's very powerful for people. Like whatever you're doing, even if it's the wrong thing, you should complete the wrong thing. Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting because like that right there, like I just said no to one of the biggest deals ever. And it just, it was a no for so many reasons, but it was really just energy.
Right.
It was just not aligning. The chemistry wasn't there, whatever it is. And then it's like, but then the other thing comes in and then another thing that's shinier. But I keep feeling this way where I'm like, Melissa, you've literally hustled your entire existence. Put your head down. Like, it's okay. It's okay not to have, which remember when I was planning that big event?
Yes. I was asking you what happened at the event.
What, do you want me to be honest with you? Because I told Jenna. So I know that I thrive off motivational speaking and the energy, like whatever happens to me, I literally feel as if I'm just like transported to a different dimension within myself. And I feel at home, like my soul feels at home. However, I do think timing and when you want to focus on something and you actually want to bring something fully to life that I've wanted to do for a really long time. This is where I get like parallel pathy. Where I'm like, well, I can do that and I can do this and I can do that and I can do that and I can fix everything. Where I start to just diminish my energy, right? Like the amount that I can actually give to the thing. And when I had to really bring it back to the event, because I was like, I know that I want to do more speaking, and I know that there's so many elements of that are to come. I was planning the event. It was a lot of ego. It was a lot of me feeling the importance of wanting to stay important.
To stay relevant?
Yeah, and just kind of feel like, okay, well, while my head's down with this big thing, well, in the midst of me kind of being a little quieter, let me do this thing to kind of stay alive almost. And like, it was so weird when I actually faced the reality of like what it truly, because it wasn't fear, because I don't feel afraid. I'm sure there's some elements that will come up the closer I get to things. I get really nervous.
This was an all-day event, a 2-hour thing?
This
What
was
it?
going to be like a 2.5, like 3 hour thing.
3 hours.
Yeah. But it just, when I was paying attention to like the output to what I needed to input to bring this other thing that, by the way, can change that whole thing. Like I was just,
Is this
it
because
was like ego driven.
Is it because you had another Northern Star you were working on, and you had another goal you were working on, and this speaking thing was going to sidetrack you from that?
It was going to take a lot of energy and a lot of my team's energy.
I see.
But it was also like, it wasn't feeling aligned from like this place of like, I want to give. It was my ego.
I see.
I was feeling myself.
I see. You felt like maybe you were going to use it to take something from the audience at this point.
And I don't even think that. It was to feel important, which is really hard to admit.
I see. Which is not the intention of what you want to do.
No, not at all.
Right.
Even if
like,
you're doing something that's actually what
I love to do.
And the
But
audience
it was
wants
like
it too.
the timing and the like. I was like, this is so not. I'm pushing it because I want to make sure that I'm keeping things alive, which is. I don't even want to admit it. I don't even like to say that, but I'm just being honest.
It's so powerful to be able to, even once you get to a certain place, it's kind of what you were saying earlier about like it's in the final stretch, or when you do have money, it can swallow you even more than when you don't. It's like being able to be in alignment and know that there's still like many, many micro course corrections of like, yes, I've gotten to a place where speaking is something that I want to do, but maybe there's like a mini part of the intention that is not totally clean. And because you now have a bigger platform, you're going to feel it more. They're going to feel it more. Like even our small stuff costs us too much at this point. So why do it?
So I honestly scaled it into like more of an intimate thing that I'm going to do with my community, where it's not that I can't speak, because if I want to do more, you know what I mean? Like I can do that. Did I need to do it? And it was just, it was a real awakening. And
Another
you
example-
encouraged me to share it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful because it's this micro daily stuff that we do with ourselves, and just being radically honest and just being like, and I always say this to myself, like, let there be nothing about me that I can't say to me and not be okay with. Like, okay, you know that the reason why you're doing this is like not so great, and that's okay. And it's normal to feel like you want to stay relevant, or normal that you feel like you want to still, you know, be loud or be cool, whatever, insert your own shtick, right? But like, that's okay. And then like, I look for the innocent motivation why I would have wanted to do that and say, that's all right.
Right.
But now also you can't afford to do that because you're going to have to pay for it later.
That's what they...
I can't.
And I'm listening to Melissa, and I'm realizing actually I'm doing the exact, I just realized I just did the exact same thing and I'm doing it. And I'm like, it's actually embarrassing for me to say I'm doing this tour, and there's, you know, everyone wants to come to this city, come to that city. And, you know, 5 people will say, oh, please come to the city. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. And I'll tell the team.
I did that to him.
Book the, yeah. Well, you said to come to London, which is actually where I need to go, as opposed to like all these micro cities. I want to make everybody happy. So I told the team, this was a really painful thing that happened. I told the team, I booked this, and now we booked all these venues, and it's great. I'm happy we're doing it. But I called my kids while I was here just 2 days ago, right before the event. I called them, and my youngest, he's 4, and he's a twin, and he's like the one that like never, you know, it's like it's very hard for me to like. All the other ones like, Daddy, we love you. And then this one's like, Daddy, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with you. And so
I love him.
He comes on the phone. He comes right on the phone because each kid's coming in, and he comes right in. And he says to me, he says, why are you always gone? And then he just got off the phone. He like didn't even give me a moment to like, and I was like, oh my God. It like hit me. And then I realized, okay, and it's fine because this is how you learn. Because how do you know where to give your energy, right? You give a little energy here, and then you have to hear the signs, and you have to rebalance, and you have to rebalance. And then I heard that, and then right away I'm like, okay, I can't do this like Europe tour where I'm going to like every city, And And then my team's like, listen, people will come in. Just go to London. People will come there. And it's very hard. Like, oh, I want to go to Germany. I want to go here. I'm like, wait, I'm going to have, why am I doing that? I want to cater, but it's more like it's a people-pleasing thing. It's I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And I have to really be careful I don't do what I did before, which is disconnect from family in order to bring light to the world, quote unquote. Like, if you're not bringing light to your family, the whole thing is the negative side. Let's say there's 1 million people's lives change, but like your kid is like, where are you? I think if I went to the upper worlds, the heavenly tribunal would be like, you missed it. The negative side actually brought those 1 million people to you to see if it would distract you from your kids. So, because it can, we get this Messiah complex, like, oh, I'm gonna help all these people, and of course it's gonna be okay. It's not. I failed. I don't want to say I failed. I fell for this once before, and I just had to be very sensitive to listen to where I would be blind in terms of helping the world, quote unquote.
Wow.
So I need to actually refigure this whole thing and reprioritize, like, what is, like.
It's so major.
I wanted to talk to you about this.
What?
I wanted to talk to you about this.
This specific
Just
thing?
like I felt.
Yeah, you've been
I
saying
just
this
think
today.
you're such a giver, and you have such a mission to spread this wisdom to the masses, which is the most beautiful thing. And honestly, no one does it like you. And no one does. There is a way about you when you speak to people, and when you are in, like, source is moving through you in it's the craziest thing to experience and to witness. But I feel like I have a solution for you. It has nothing to do with me. It's just,
I can't wait to hear
think you
it.
don't need to go anywhere. And everyone's
Melissa
coming
gives
to
me
you,
these
babe.
kicks in the ass every time I call her. I'm like, do this. And she's like, why are you doing that? Why aren't you charging anything? What's going on here?
Well, no, you guys do that for me too.
Yeah, no,
we
it's
do that
good.
for each other. And I think that it's just really honestly sweet that you shared that, because it's very real
Yeah.
and vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible how I think a lot of people also wonder this, like, how am I on a spiritual path and I'm therefore leaving my family behind or my friends behind and those kinds of things. And I've been through, I don't have kids, but I've been through like a similarly humbling journey. Actually, my friend who introduced me to Kabbalah all those years ago said something really profound to me once. And that was really like the sort of like whip into shape that I needed, which is, and I think there's a lot of like suggestive content online about like, our parents didn't teach us about this, and, that you're so traumatized from this and that and whatever. And of course we need to honor that. But she said to me one day, she was like, their ceiling becomes our floor.
Their ceiling becomes our floor.
So of course they didn't have time to think about self-betterment, because our parents' generation were like trying to, either put food on the table or immigrate. And that's an amazing spiritual accomplishment for them. Like to move country when it was not a plane away, and to feed your kids when they got abused by their parents maybe, or hit by their parents, or survived World War II in my case. Like so many things that, anyway, point being is that there was a time in my life where I really got into the whole, like, they don't understand, they're not spiritual, this, that, and the other. And actually what happens is you actually close, I felt like I was, now know that I was like closing the door from even that. If that's the thing I'm supposed to give back to them, is like be the door opener for that, because they were door openers for me and so many other things, that now my whole family is a completely different family than what I had back then, when I was attached to the story of like, they're not important, I'm out here doing my thing, the spiritual thing, and they don't get it, and that's not important, and it's not worth my time. That actually, it does change your reality when you do that like humbling rebalancing on yourself, and you actually end up getting what you really want, rather than just the ego story of what you're telling yourself is like the separation and the judgment and the
I just, as you were saying, I'm like, I think our parents are like in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and it's this race now to make up for lost time and to give back. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I was talking to my mom, I'm like, what's your favorite singer? Like, I was trying to think, like, when's your next birthday? Like, I'm thinking, like, what? It's this race because of so many years of just not acknowledging and giving them back what they sacrificed to give, and then defining giving as what we think is right. When in reality, yeah, like, they immigrated, they didn't know any better, and they had whatever resources they had.
Yeah.
And obviously they did something right if we're here at this point.
Oh. And I really
So
think that
true.
everyone has this in them, that everyone has this desire to be a person that they dream of being, including the people who we think don't, especially the people we think don't. We should be running towards those people and just holding a candle that maybe they might, like, I mean, people who, and I'm sure going back to what you were saying about there being a mass spiritual awakening, I'm always like, the thing we have to do when we have just volunteered to just go a little bit sooner than other people, like, ultimately we're all getting there, right?
Yeah.
We're just in the illusion of time where, like, just once, it's our duty to, like, believe in those people, because maybe we didn't have people who held candle for us. I know you had your uncle, I had Ruth, people who did see potential in us.
Yeah.
That, that's maybe the only thing that's going to turn on people who our egos would tell us they're not interested. They'll never be into spirituality. They don't care. They're just this, they're just that. Like, I now think, okay, no, whenever you have that judgment, you go towards that person and you just hold a vision, or you pray for them, or you say to their soul, like, you can speak to their soul, and just say, I believe in you, or I know there's something in you. Show me if it's there. Like, I'll help you. Like, because that's what it is.
So
You just said the power of having somebody believe in you who also doesn't try to control you is the most powerful mentorship, guidance, community you can have. It's like, we don't realize it. Also, not trying to control you. Like, we need to, like, I think an authentic call to action on this front is, like, there are people out there that just, you can believe in them, see their good, not try to manipulate or control them, and it will change the trajectory of their life forever. It's like kids who have the best coaches in school and high school, like, studies have shown coaches that believe in these kids end up being successful kids over coaches who maybe are abusive or who have a different type of mentality around training. It's very powerful. What's the call to action for people and their parents and their family? Like, what people are hearing this, they're obviously, it's going to bring up stuff for people.
I have a good one.
good.
Oftentimes, I think that we think that waking people up spiritually is like telling them about spirituality, right? It's like all mind. It's like, you need to know. And then we have this, like, curriculum in our heads, like, that person needs to learn about shadow work. Oh, they really need to do some self-forgiveness. Like, all of that is when you have to, that's all your work that you do before you, like, approach them. You're like, oh, I need shadow work. Or, oh, this is clearly what I need, right? And then once you've done all of that and turned it in on yourself, you dare to go first with your spirituality, meaning the actual practice spirituality, like being loving when you want to pull away, asking questions when you think you don't have time, being soft when you want to be hard. And all you do is you risk that, like, you might get judged for it, or you might still not belong, or your family's still not going to catch up overnight the way you secretly think that they should. And then it's just that uncomfortable, like, learning and that leaning in of, like, you being the example. There's that principle of entrainment, right? Like, when you raise your vibration, you make it easier for other people to not have to do that themselves, right? So you just, and it's still uncomfortable, but you just still be loving when you find it hard to be loving, and you still, and then you just, all of a sudden you look around and you're like, hold on a second, how did these people get to where they are? And then the ego comes again and goes, they had it easy, or they just don't know. And you're like, you know what? It's still a reality that I'd much rather be in than the old one that I was so attached to, so my ego, so I'm still winning. And that's really what it's about. Is like, everyone is wonderful, everything is perfect because I brought my best self when it was hard.
The power of what you're saying is, it's like, if you just sit with someone and don't even talk, but your energy, just sit with them, have quality time with them. It's almost like I learned, instead of making my kids do what I like to do, what do they like to do, even if I think it's stupid? And I'll just sit there and just be there with them to do the thing they like to do, they feel the energy and they feel the love. And then that's how you connect with them. And I'm thinking even with my parents or with anybody, if you just spent time with them and do the things that they love, they feel the light of the creator. You don't have to, there's no teaching, there's no shadow work, there's none of this stuff, because people feel that energy. And I remember I told my mom, let me pick you up, and we're going from the park. And I'm like, what's your favorite song? So I put on her song. It's like a convertible. I'm like, I know she likes these things. So I'm like, I'm doing the whole thing. And I'm like, let's go to lunch. So it's almost like, that's what makes our parents feel the light of the creator. It doesn't need to be anything even spiritual. It needs to be just, it says that if you want someone to change, all you have to do is bring them close to the light of the creator. Nowhere does it say you should teach them or force them or tell them what's wrong with them or tell them what they need to change. They just need to feel the light. And we need to believe that we have this light. And just by being in the room with anyone, people will feel inspired. People will change.
There's literally no more perfect place to wrap it. No, for real.
I think we've gone.
No, we've gone so long, but that I feel like has been one of my biggest challenges with my family is just being loving, being accepting, and not feeling the need to always share or guide, or because I'm such a fixer and I'm just like, I think of like the 2 moments where I had the most connection with my parents separately, they're divorced. When my mom had knee surgery, she insisted that I didn't come. And I was like, I'm coming. Like, I'm coming home. So I went home and she woke up from her surgery and I was sitting on the bedside and I'm going to cry again. God, this has been an emotional podcast for me. And she opened her eyes and she was like, this means more to me than anything you've ever done. Like in my whole life, like, thank you for being here with me. And I was like, and we talked and I got to know her more. And it was like, we were in hospital, but it was like the deepest moment of connection I've ever had with my mom. And then going to visit my dad with my sisters and just going to see his place and like being with him and like his energy and him just like those moments where I'm not like, well, you have to listen to this. But I'm just like, I'm always trying to, and I'm like, well, aren't you logged in? You don't know them. And I'm just like shoving things. And I'm like, it's never worked. It's never worked for them.
Yeah.
So just like being, and for those who have challenging relationships with family members, one thing that I do that has really helped soften my edges is before I like open the door, when I'm in like the energy of that person, I pray and I say like, let my love move through me. With anything that comes up, let my love guide me, move through me, show me, guide me, like keep showing me the way. And like love is just, it's like, it's the end all. It's the answer to everything.
It's so much simpler than we always try to make it.
I know, it really is. And like that was my biggest awakening, was like, oh, I don't need to like plan the trip or like do the grand thing. It's like, it's in the tiny gesture of just being and showing up. And I loved this conversation. This is one of my favorite conversations I've ever had in my life.
I hate people.
No, I'm dead serious.
I entered a vortex of energy. I think
we might need a podcast together.
I was thinking like,
I saw a TV show. Did you?
I'm telling you, I saw.
I looked at you. No, at one point, and I thought we were on TV.
Wow.
Swear to you, I had a vision of us like a.
The thing is that I still feel like we only spoke about 1% of the things. There's so much coming through. I realize there's like endless subjects to go through, and so many things were coming in.
So many.
I thought about it as soon as we sat down. I'm like, wait, if this was a reoccurring podcast, this would be one of the biggest.
I swear to you,
Same time tomorrow.
Same what? Same time tomorrow. We gotta find one city where we are, because it's the in-person thing that is
special.
I know. There's something really
There's
special
something
that
there.
comes to life. Yeah. And you guys are a gift. Seriously, like how lucky am I to, like when you said yesterday, you're like, I can't believe this is my life.
I really can't.
Jenna almost didn't come.
I know.
I know. No,
know.
but like, of course, we were
It
very.
worked out.
You were very.
Oh no, I would
yeah.
never.
No, but when I was on the
I
plane on
used
the
to
way
be like,
here.
what? We had a plan, Now I'm like, oh, it all works out. And I had a weird feeling you were still coming.
I know, you
I told
said.
you that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we sure, girl.
Okay.
See you soon.
I think what people just really saw the humanity of everything that we go through. It's like
No. This was
Yeah.
truly like when I said I wanted to go deep, I was thinking more on like, I don't know, principles
Right.
but this, I think there's no greater depth.
so many secrets. So many secrets are revealed.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys.
You guys.